State of California, the Golden State, it has over half of all the unhoused or homeless folks in the entire United States. Over half. Former California cop sends a powerful message to Gavin Newsom. There are no words for the horrors I saw. And he also argues the lack of affordable housing is not behind the state's homeless crisis. What is? I think you know. Let's get into it. Let's take a little look-see at what this former Oceanside police officer has to say about the homeless situation in California. Here we go. There are no words for the horrors. The horror. The horror. Remember that? Horror. Horror. That was the end of Apocalypse Now. Yeah. Colonel Kurtz, right? He did not go quietly into the night, did he? Kind of went out in flames. So one former California's police officer is speaking out on the state's spiraling drug crisis, arguing access to affordable housing is not really the issue causing so many residents to become homeless on the streets. Rick Campbell served as a police officer in Oceanside for more than 10 years. He recently penned an op-ed in Newsweek outlining how the state's progressive crime policies are actually predicating the rampant drug use and homelessness plaguing the state. Lack of affordable housing is a problem, but it's not why we have such a huge increase in homeless camps and mentally ill people in California, he wrote. I believe we have a massive drug addiction crisis and no longer any tools to force anybody to change. All right. 100% agreed. And this is what I've been saying forever. And that's why I'm reading this article, right? We also have a huge mental health crisis and no tools to force them into treatment. Totally agreed. Mental health, addiction, nothing to help people out that are suffering from this. And these folks don't oftentimes want help. You'll read about an encampment being swept. They don't want housing. They want to keep doing their drugs. Less than 10% on average that you read, less than 5%, whatever it might be, actually accept housing for one night. That might be a temporary stay that they go to and they're there for a few hours. They ditch out like Bam Margera from Jackass, ditching out of Lamar Odom's recovery center because he wanted to go to Vegas and party with the boys. Meanwhile, he's got a 5-year-old kid that he's custody struggle. Going to Vegas and doing some drugs and alcohol, Bam, isn't going to help you out. If you follow Jackass like I have over the years, because I've got kids that were in that genre of, we're going to watch the next Jackass, Dad. All right, let's see what stunts they do. But kids, don't try that at home. Some of those stunts they were fueled by drugs. Let's just say that. Here's the next thing that this former police officer says that I have been kind of harping on for a long time. Meth use and mental illness are peas in a pod. They're peas in a pod. I am growing peas in my garden at home. They're not going well. They've got a few pods, but so many of the people I took in for mental health holds of 5150 told me that their mental health deteriorated when they started using the drug. Meth. It just ramps people up in a way and just takes their mind and just spins it around and they just can't ever get back to reality. Some people. Other people seem to be able to, I'm just going to do a minimum dose of meth today and we're going to be all fine. Some people can just do it and they're okay. Those are the exception. The other drugs that we're seeing on the streets, those are also making people, we talk about tranq, the medication for horses, that causes the skin to basically deteriorate and fester up and people are getting amputations left and right. That's why you see so many, You see so many wheelchairs, you see so many crutches, you see people with bandages in a lot of the video you'll see in Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, because that's kind of the center for tranq in the United States. If you're not familiar with tranq, it's out there. It's xylazine. It's a medication that vets use, but now it's being cut with other drugs. Cause why not? It's legal on horses. It's kind of like that whole Joe Rogan and ivermectin kind of deal. Also, 5150, great album by Van Halen. Yeah. Mental psych ward hold. That's what that stands for. There aren't words to describe the horrors I saw. And yet, in my own opinion, civil rights advocates continue to stand in the way of reform. He continued. Oh, hey now, advocates in general get in the way. Harm reduction advocates, all harm, no reduction. Part of their thing is that we believe that for some people, not using drugs may not be one of their life choices. And we support that. So you're going to support people just killing themselves. If you saw a child, somebody under 18, say you saw, let's call it a 12-year-old girl smoking crack on the sidewalk, how quickly do you think Child Protective Services would be out there? Yeah. Or some 12-year-old kid, obviously high on whatever and screaming at the clouds, really making a statement. How long do you think that would last? And yet we allow adults all day long to do that. Free will. They can make their own decisions. Yeah, but then we're paying for their decisions to break all of these laws and basically endanger themselves. And we're having to pay for that. I say no. Hard stop on that nonsense. Hard stop. Because it's also not compassionate to let these people continue this crazy cycle of drugs, set stuff on fire, steal from the community because that's how you're going to fund your next fix. All of that, no. Hard no-go. I'm with this cop, but this is nothing new. It's just interesting to hear the perspective of a police officer. Civil rights advocates continuing to stand in the way of reform. 100% agreed. Civil rights advocates, they just always go down the wrong roads, and they're protesting some ridiculous thing that has no real meaning. Campbell told America's Newsroom on Thursday that Proposition 36, which was passed in 2000, offered a carrot and stick to drug offenders by establishing drug courts that were used often as alternatives to prison time. Okay, so Proposition 36, that's the first kind of step that Cali went down. If people were caught with simple possession for meth, heroin, or cocaine, they'd be offered the option for treatment via drug court rather than going to prison. Because back then it was a felony. And if you went to prison, you're going to do some time and you come out with felony charges. Not good. So you got that carrot stick approach. Campbell told co-host Bill Hemmer, but they have this felony charge hanging over their head. So it was kind of, instead of all carrot begging people to stop using drugs and use treatment, there was also kind of a stick in there with which to whack them. You're going to get a felony. You want to go through treatment? Which was necessary to motivate them. But all that changed in 2014 when Californians voted to enact Proposition 47, which he argued tied the hands of law enforcement officials who were trying to clean up the streets. All those felony charges for drugs were reduced to misdemeanors, and now the police out here can simply write people a ticket. A ticket. Here is your citation for using meth out in the open at your local park. Yeah, a ticket. Not even like a speeding ticket, more of a municipal ticket, right? It's not even going to impact your driving record. It's like, okay, yeah, toss that other in the round filing cabinet. They aren't able to book them into jail when they have drugs in San Diego County because they're not illegal. They're not illegal. They're misdemeanors, basically. That's essentially not illegal. So, why wouldn't this happen? I mean, I think that's one of the better breakdowns of, all right, 46, Proposition 46 went into Proposition 47. You went down that road. Measure 110 in Portland. They all have the same impact, which is you've created this ecosystem of drugs and theft and just basic debauchery and homelessness. And, we try and pretend that it's all about housing. If we could just get some more housing, everybody be okay. If we could just get $14 billion more dollars into this system, really build that housing. Governor Gavin Newsom told Sean Hannity in an interview earlier this week that he takes responsibility for the state's spiraling homelessness. I don't believe anything that Governor Newsom says. I just don't. When he gets on TV, I just immediately think, whatever this guy is going to say, it, number one, isn't working. It won't work. And it's not true. That's what I immediately go to, because I think he is an excellent liar. I think he's got his pitch down. But if you look at the results of his state, you're like, what? Why are people voting this kind of person into office? Well, he is handsome. Let's give him that. He has got Hollywood good looks. I mean, he is fit for a guy his age. I mean, the guy's shredded. He's shredded like our famous Kennedy doing push-ups, showing that he's getting ready for the next debates. Guy's so funny. He's on Joe Rogan, just all jacked up. He's clearly on a little cycle of Tren or whatever. State of California was not involved in the homeless issue. We got involved. We're holding cities and counties accountable, he said. I'm suing cities when they're not producing housing. I want accountability. I take responsibility for this. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just talk about it. All right, whatever. This is personal to me. I love this state. Now, I don't like what's happening with the encampments, he continued. No, because it looks terrible. It looks terrible for your presidential run. That's what, seriously, right? How people can continue to vote in the folks that they do, and you look around their state. My state's one of them, Washington State. We've at least got a mayor here in Seattle that's trying to do something. I did see a tent on one of our ball fields here in Bellevue the other day. I don't see that very often. The cops here, they come and they get people the help that they need and make it clear that living at a ball field where kids play baseball is not an option. I remember when we took our kids over to Seattle, South Seattle, I think it was, our Bellevue crew from Bellevue High School, I think it was. And we're playing a game over at a ball field in South Seattle. It wasn't a great area, not an awful area, but not a great area either. And we had to kick all these homeless people out, all these people whacked out on drugs from the dugouts, because that's where they would sleep. City of Seattle doesn't have the ability to control that. And so, yeah, you guys need to go. You guys got to go because, we're trying to play an effing baseball game here. Have you heard of baseball? It's a sport. Get out of the dugout. Literally, it's what a dad had to do. So we now have a multi-billion-dollar deficit in our state, and yet they're going to continue spending billions trying to provide carrots to people to get off the street, Campbell said of the governor's pricey plan. Newsom did come up with the care court idea, and that what they're trying to implement out here, I don't think it's going to be fully successful, but we'll see, he continued. I do think that he is trying, but so far there have not been significant results. Well, I think the number of homeless people and the amount of drugs flowing into California, there's been no significant change in the state of California. So expect much of the same. And if you keep voting in the same politicians, that is literally the definition of crazy, isn't it? It is. California comprises 50% of the nation's unsheltered homeless population. According to the U.S. Department of Housing, according to HUD, that amounts to 171,000 homeless residents. It's become a drug mecca. That's what's happened. Massive. Skid Row, that's all about drugs. That's the 24/7 party. Everybody there admits it. It's a party 24/7. How many thousands of homeless do you have there? A lot. Just utter chaos. Additionally, 1/3 of the entire homeless population across the country live in California. That's the homeless population. I mean, just enormous numbers of people that have gone to California because you've got super cheap drugs, you got decent weather, you can live in a tent, and you're not gonna, get frostbite. And they'll give you all kinds of, give you free food, resources, tent, blanket, whatever you need, hot coffee and soup. One of the stories I read not long ago was about somebody. Oh, it was about the developer in Portland selling his last piece of property in Portland after 4 decades of development. And he was like, I'm trying to get these, homeless folks out of my building. And the cops say to call this entity, and that entity, they're going to come out and bring the homeless people some hot coffee and some hot soup. Yeah. What about getting these drug addicted homeless folks out of here and somewhere else? No. We're going to bring them soup and coffee. It's what we're doing. It's Portland. So you can see why developers are, just saying, no, we're just not dealing with this. But this cop, I mean, it's interesting to hear from this police officer's perspective. Here's what it is. Here's the cause. Here's the end result. It's what you got. Pretty concise breakdown of exactly what we have. It's not housing. It's addiction and mental issues, because you don't have treatment for either. You don't have the mental institutions we used to put people in that we claimed, that the civil rights leaders claimed, we're abusing them. Yeah, maybe we were. And some of that did happen, but like policing, reform it. Don't close it all down. Defunding the police will work out great. For a split second it happened and everything just goes up in flames. I mean, it's so just stupid, right? All right. That's it for me on this one. Don't forget to check out our merch. We got merch. We got stuff, and you guys are buying it. It's crazy. We had somebody buy $160, $170 worth of cool merch the other day. A lot of coffee cups. We got coffee cups for day. I'm looking at a table over there. I got one that says, just a proud dad who didn't raise liberals. That's funny. We got ones making fun of Joe Biden over this shoulder. Yeah, over this shoulder. We got good stuff. I mean, it's nothing serious. You're not going to, learn anything from our merch, but that's not the point, right? Thanks again for joining. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for being a subscriber. If you haven't already, hit that subscription, hit that notification bell. So each time we release our content, you'll get notified. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.